Scent bird, I smell good, bish. And if you want to smell good like me, you'll click down below in the description box and get 15% off of your first month subscription service to Scentbird, which is a monthly subscription service that sends you perfumes, candles, hand lotions, and makeup. So you guys get down below, check out their website, and sign up. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and I am back for another 911 review. I know it's a little out of order, but I wanted to do these two today once I kind of perked up and had a little bit more energy, because these require a little bit more energy. You know, these are the TV shows that aren't full of ratchetry. But this was the special haunted Halloween episode of 911. Okay, so the episode started off creepy as fuck. Why this lady decided to go to the graveyard during this time of the night, it seemed like it was at nighttime, okay? It also seemed like there was a heavy fog. Why would you be, paying your respects to your parents in this graveyard at nighttime like this, lady? Okay, you are just waiting for a zombie to come up and grab you and bite you in the neck and be a vampire/zombie, and we don't know what the hell going on, all right? And that's almost exactly what happened. Some guy behind her is coming up out of the ground, and he comes up behind her, and he puts his hand on her shoulder, and she's like, okay, doing the I'm about to run and break my ankle and get killed by a murderer scream. And what we find out is that it's not a zombie. Some grave diggers were digging a grave, and they were digging it in the area of a sinkhole. So they fell, and all of the dirt collapsed on top of them. And one guy dug himself out, but there's still one other guy in there. So the team gets there, they looking around, they see that this is obviously a sinkhole. While they're trying to dig for the other man, the ground falls again. And all of the shit is still sinking. And Hen was like, I'm not taking this shit, okay? We have got to save this man. So she hops on top of the tractor, and she scoops out a big part of the dirt, and then they start to go with their hands again, and they find the man, they get him out of there safely. Thank you, Jesus. He could breathe out the dirt. I was like, Lord, okay, see, I'm gonna need for that never to happen to me. Ever since Kill Bill 2, Volume 2, when she has to be under the ground, and I was like, see, I need to learn how to punch through board, because I'm so scared for something like that to happen to me. That's why I want to be cremated. Like, don't put me in the ground, bitch. Burn me. Burn my body, okay? I don't want to be in the ground. I don't want to be in no tomb. You can't punch your way out no fucking tomb. And that's what they do, in our family. You get put in tombs and shit. So, yeah, no, I'm not here for that at all. Not here for it at all. So they saved the man. As they're leaving, Buck is, like, oh my God, we just saved that guy. That was amazing. He's always super duper excited to do his job. And Henrietta is like, I just hope that, they understand. And he's like, who? And she's like, the people we just disturbed, okay? The dead people we just disturbed, the spirits, okay? We just disturbed their resting place, baby. I'm like, that sinkhole disturbed their resting place, okay? They ain't that no more, baby. See, I'm a firm believer in ain't no such thing as disrupting. Like, I feel like you're supposed to either, cremate, bury, whatever you want to do. But I ultimately believe that once a person dies, their spirit is no longer in their body. They are not a part of that at all anymore. That is not it no more. That's not where they at. All right? At least that's how I felt whenever somebody has died in my family. Moving on, y'all. Henrietta's wife calls her down to the hospital, because every episode, if she's not in it, I forget her name. My bad, all right? I love her, though. I love her as an actress, okay? I've seen, like, a lot of stuff that she's been in, okay? And I love her, especially since the Quentin Tarantino double feature that she was in, Dead Proof. Kicking ass in Dead Proof, okay? Cursing her motherfucking ass off in Dead Proof, okay? She was the female Samuel L. Jackson in that motherfucking movie, and I was all here for it, goddammit. All right, I had to get that out there. Anyway, so she calls her to the hospital. Henrietta's father is there, and he's unconscious. And she said, you talking about the father that I have not seen since I was 9 years old? She was like, yeah. Okay, he had your picture, your name and address in his wallet. I don't know if it was a picture, but it was definitely a name and address. My bad. Okay, because you just feel like wallet, it got to be a picture in there. But either way, they have been calling for next of kin ever since. So she goes in and realizes that he's dying. And the only thing keeping him alive are the machines. But they needed to get in contact with Henrietta before they could take him off those machines. So now she has to carry the burden of deciding whether to take somebody off life support who she hasn't seen since she was 9 years old. It's going to be something hard for her. Maddie gets a call from a man saying that he fell off a trail, and it kind of breaks out at the end. He's like, I need help. My leg is broken. You know, he had an accent. You know, those things are very important. As much as everybody likes to ignore our differences when it comes to skin tone, when it comes to our accents, those are the things that define us when motherfuckers is looking for us. But on their way there, Chimney and Henrietta are talking about how she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to make this decision. And Chimney is like, girl, that's a part of our job. You make decisions like that every day for people. And she's like, yeah, but those people didn't abandon me when I was 9 years old. And he's like, man, look, at the end of the day, it sounds like he's been diagnosed with death. All right, it's going to happen either way. And she says, you don't know that. I'm sure people thought you having a rebar pipe stuck in your head meant you was gonna die. And he was like, touche. Touche. So right now, Henrietta still doesn't know what she's going to do, y'all. I couldn't imagine having to be faced with this, especially knowing the fact that you were always hoping for a chance to get to know him and it never happened. And when you finally do see him, he's laying on the bed, probably not even there anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just hard. So y'all, they get to the cliff. And they got to the cliff because of the cell towers, because before Maddie could get the information, a call dropped out. Buck and Eddie skimmed down the side of this rock. You know, it's kind of on the beach. So, they skim down the side looking for whoever it might be. And they see a body that's been there for a long time because it's mostly skeletal remains, but there's a cell phone there. They scream up that that's not it, and then they hear somebody screaming. So then they skim all the way down and see that they did have a live one, and it was a guy with his leg broken, so they assume this is the guy that called. And he said he never called the cops. He said, I never called 911, because he was like, how did y'all find me? All right? So spooky. Y'all, a ghost didn't call 911, y'all. I don't care what nobody say. That was a ghost that called 911. Ghost was calling 911 all day that day. Bobby and Athena are decorating pumpkins with the kids, and I'm like, I cannot wait to do that. Like, next year, I'm definitely going to do it all out for Halloween. This year is for Christmas, okay? I'm saving all my ducats to do extra for Christmas, okay? I gotta think about everything I want to do in here for Christmas, and then I'll probably show y'all in a video and all of that. I'm gonna make it real cute, like a Christmas decorating video or whatever. I can't wait, y'all. I love Christmas. It's my favorite time of the year. So I'm excited, especially since I don't have to worry about what the work schedule is going to be. Can't wait. Anyway, y'all, so Bobby and Athena and the kids cutting pumpkins, all right? Ultimately, the kids go ahead and get ready for bed, and they start to talk about their date. And one of the things they talked about is the ghost that called 911. And Athena asked about the remains, whose remains were there. And they're like, we don't know. We just know it was a man because he had a wedding band on. So Athena decides to pick up the case because she knows that these other cops are not going to be worrying about who those old remains belong to. All right, y'all. Now, I didn't forget Coco's name on this show. So Coco Brown is going to be Coco Brown, okay? So Eddie and Coco look at this really, really nice state-of-the-art school, which seems to be an African-American lady principal, which makes me have so much pride and hope for this school, okay? And at first, Eddie isn't really feeling it. He doesn't want his kids to feel like some special needs charity case. And that's kind of what going to a school like this makes him think about as far as, what it's going to mean for his son. But she says, they learn things from each other. They don't just learn things from us. So them being around one another offers them some type of solace in knowing that there are other people out there that are different. There are other people out there that are like them. And, he thought about that for a second. He saw those kids playing, and he decided that he wanted to try to get his son into this school. But they need to meet and talk with his wife, who has been ghost, okay? Literally ghost. We don't know nothing about her. So the next thing they get called to, y'all, is this haunted house. And I'm gonna need for people to pay attention to natural habitats, okay? Stop being disrespectful of the animals, of the creatures of the earth. Stop being fucking disrespectful disrespectful and just building shit in any old area without doing your motherfucking research. I'm sorry, but that annoys me. Like, I'm not one of them people that love animals more than people, but I love animals, okay? So I have like an issue when people are just so unapologetically ignorant as it pertains to building in areas where animals are, and then you be trying to kill the animals to get them out the area because you decided to develop in the middle of their fucking habitat. So that's exactly what happened. They was at this haunted house that they built in the middle of a bat's habitat during a mosquito outbreak, okay? This must mean a lot. Plus 10% of bats carry rabies. So when these, this little interracial couple, they was cute though, okay? But it's why is it always the interracial couple with the black girl being mixed? Like, it looked like the black girl mixing the guys. Like, why can't, I've known, white men to be with some very chocolate looking black girls. Like, why we can't have real diversity, okay? Real diversity meaning, can we have a real dark lady with a white man? Or a real, what I'm saying? Like, why it always gotta be that girl? Like, I feel like whenever there's an interracial couple, for the most part that I see on television and commercials and stuff like that, they always look like that. And, I'm just saying, if we want to have real diversity, where's the chocolate? where is the chocolosity? Where is it? Okay? I ain't hating, no, just pointing something out from the black girl's point of view. All right? Don't get all in your panties bunched up about it, okay? So anyway, the little couple are in the haunted house. They see the bats start to swarm, and the police are called in. When they get there, Hen needs to know if anybody has been bitten. Apparently not that they know of. It was just a swarm, and people got hurt in the stampede of everybody running. When they get into the haunted house, they see that the boyfriend is passed out, okay? His puss ass ran so hard and so scared that he ran smack dab into a pole and, knocked himself unconscious. And when Chimney goes up to him, he was like, "What year is it, sir?" He was like, "It's 2018. He was like, "Okay, so who's the president?" And he's like, "Do I have to answer that?" And he was like, "He's gonna be okay." I'm like, oh, Trump joke. It's a collective outrage. So next we see Athena going to the 911 call center because she wants to have a conversation with Madison. She wants to know what happened on that phone call yesterday, all right? So they searched for the call that might have came in first 6 or 7 years ago when this man, originally died. So they put in all of the things that were related to that case, and they pull up a call. And the call is this man, Hispanic accent, "I broke my leg, help me," And they cut out. The lady didn't seem to really be able to understand him or to hear him before the call dropped out. And Maddie is like, "That can't be right. That sounds exactly like the call I had yesterday. Play it back." So they played her call back from yesterday, and all you could hear was static on the call. You couldn't hear any voice. And she was like, "That is crazy. I definitely heard a voice on the other side of that phone." And Athena is like, "Well, I guess the ghost called 911, girl." Don't you love the way black people always be like, "Child, I guess that's what it is." Ain't nobody scared. Ain't nobody worried. Just like, yeah, I guess that is what it is then. We ain't about to, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to mess with it. Okay, all right. We will surrender to it and walk away. We don't want no problems. Y'all, Maddie and Buck have dinner. And while discussing a ghost calling 911, Maddie said she couldn't imagine being the wife since they found that wedding ring. Couldn't imagine being a wife, not knowing what was going on, and then having the whole world, your family, your friends see when you give up and try to move on, because then you have to have a funeral and all of that, even when you don't have a body. And just saying how hard that was. And this is when Buck kind of has the realization that he's been thinking Abby is the ghost. This whole time, Abby is like the ghost. Everything in this apartment is for her, but every day she's disappearing more and more from his memory, from his heart. And it's just getting harder for him to stay in this place with her being so far away. The phone calls few and far in between. So, it's just getting hard, and he realizes that now it's time for him to really let Abby go, and that might mean letting go of this shive-ass apartment. Yeah, that's right. I say shive. So Henrietta and her wife go to the dad's house so that they can look around, see if maybe he left a will of some kind to say what he might want before she makes this decision. And they look through everything, and the wife finds an article of Henrietta when somebody wrote about her being, a paramedic, first responder. And it was from 3 years ago. And he kept it. And it seems as if he knew who she was. He was keeping track of her. but he didn't want to disturb her life. He didn't want to find out. I guess he didn't want to break the fantasy. You know, you realize you've abandoned your kid. They're an adult. You're proud of them. You love them. But at the same time, you know you've done something that's so terrible that you don't know if you want to deal with what it takes to make that right and to actually have a close relationship. You would rather just watch from afar and just know, hey, I love her. She'll know when I'm gone that I loved her, that I cared, that I, wanted to know how she was. And that might give Henrietta some solace knowing that her dad did care about her and thought about her the way she might have thought about him through the years. But it's still such oh man, that's heartbreaking. Really, really heartbreaking. I feel like it hurts even more when you found out that he cared, because then it's like, damn, why couldn't you call me? You had my address. Stop by one time. Like, just at least made an attempt. I know that's all the things that had to be running through her mind. So, y'all, we finally get to meet Eddie's wife. She shows up at his door. He must have reached out to her, with the stuff for the school. And she comes in and she walks around their son's room and she's like, does he ask about me? And Eddie's like, he hasn't asked recently. We've had a lot going on, the move. He's just kind of been saturated with things going on. So he didn't have the time to just sit down and wonder where is mommy, especially when mommy's been gone for almost 2 years. Eddie shows her the pamphlet about the school. She looks at it, but she wants to see the school and she wants to talk to their son. But Eddie doesn't know if that's a good idea because she's been gone for so long. And I don't think that Eddie wanted to have her come back into their son's life if she wasn't actually going to be there from now on. I don't think he wanted to get his son all riled up again. And she feels like, I'm his mother. If I want to see him, I should be able to see him. But you also have to take responsibility for the fact that in some way you abandoned him. Now, if she come back in his life and be there every day like a mother should from now on, then, until he's an adult, then I feel like you can look back on it as this small thing that happened. Mommy, went away for 2 years once when I was a kid. But in the grand scheme of things, it might, leave a dent, but it ain't gonna leave a permanent mark. You know what I'm saying? You can make that better over time. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen between the two of them, because Eddie has to stop being mad about it. And the reason why she left is because her mom got sick. So she came to California from Texas, but he didn't want to leave because he didn't want to leave his family. He didn't want to uproot their son, and she had to go and take care of her mom. Now, he thought after her mom passed away that she would come back to Texas, but she never did. And he didn't really ask for an explanation why at this point, but eventually he will. But she says their problem started before that. Her problem started when he left her alone and went to Afghanistan, and she had to stay at home with their son, and their son had issues. So this was hard for her. And I think she resented him. So when she left, it was almost like, now you get to see what it's like. You get to see what it's like to be with our son with his issues by yourself. She's upset with him also that he never left to come be with her. Why would you never leave to come and be with me? You love me. Why wouldn't you come to be with me? Instead, you stayed like you're being stubborn. That's why you stayed in Texas, just to show me that you're not going to leave, even though I wanted you to. That's kind of what it seemed like a little bit, like Eddie was being stubborn about why he never came to California to be with her beforehand. But he is here now. So y'all, Athena and Henrietta have dinner. And during their dinner, Athena shares with Henrietta the reason why she decided to pick up this cold case, and ultimately the reason why she became a cop in the first place. And it was because when she was a young girl, about 9 years old, a girl who lived in her neighborhood who was about a year younger than her got snatched from her bed. And her mother would go over every week and bring food and whatever the parents needed. But at church on Sundays, she got a chance to see what that child being missing did to the parents. And because of that, she vowed that one day she would find that little girl and just bring those parents some closure. And that's why she wanted to become a cop in the first place. And she never did do that, but that's why she wanted to do this. And ultimately, that brings them to Henrietta talking about how hard this is for her, making this decision for her dad, and how she really hoped that one day, she would be able to see him. So a part of her right now was hoping that he'll wake up out of this coma or whatever, even though they're saying that he's gone already. They're just keeping him alive with the life support. But ultimately, she's kind of wishing that he would wake up, but You know that he's not. So it's just a terrible situation to be in. And then Athena gets the phone call telling her the name of the remains. And it's a young man named Alex. And he died about 6 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. He was 23 years old, and they got the hit because he spent some time in jail. And he was only out of jail for 6 months when he died. So that's kind of messed up. So now Athena has to go and give, this information to his wife, who hasn't seen or heard from him in 6 or 7 years. That is going to be like a hit to the heart. And out of nowhere for that lady. She probably thinks about it every day, but never thought it was going to be like this. Like, you're getting ready for Halloween, your son is ready to go trick-or-treating, and then here comes a police officer telling you about the remains of the husband that you might have thought left you. So Coco and Eddie are having a conversation, and Coco tells Eddie that he needs to stop bullshitting with himself and make it right with his wife and do what's best for his son. His son needs his mother, and you didn't move 30 minutes away from her from Texas for no reason at all. You just bullshitting with yourself, Eddie. So be honest and make this shit right with your wife, man. Like, you got time. So make it right while you have that time. So then we see a Halloween festival, you guys. There's all of these different vendors, all of these different attractions going on. And there's a cop there who's on a horse, who's looking after the whole area. And he's talking to these kids about his horse and how he trains him to be a police horse and everything. And it's all cute. And then we see a guy who's, playing with fire, blowing fire and shit. He turns around and blows the fire into what looks like a drag queen spraying her hair with aerosol spray. So then the hair catches on fire and everybody screams and starts to stampede and run. And the horse reacts to everybody stampeding. So the horse jumps back, and I think the horse broke its leg and fell onto the side while everybody was still stampeding. The cop grabs a hold of one of the little kids who was screaming and kind of just sitting there like this, trying to hope nobody steps on her. So the cop grabs her and covers her. And then when they come back from commercial break, we see Henrietta and the firemen and everybody have come on scene, and they found that the horse is dying and in a lot of pain, and they don't have anything on hand that would be able to knock him out or anything like that. So they're gonna have to put him to sleep. And it was a very, very heartfelt scene. First of all, I love horses. Like, I feel like the bigger the animal, the closer they are to human. Like, that's just kind of how I see it, especially when you look at elephants and stuff like that. Oh, this was so sad. This man, he was talking to the horse and it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. You could tell that horse was probably his best friend. And it was just so sad, y'all. Hen even had a hard time putting him to sleep. Y'all, everybody was just standing around doing their little falling, doing their little falling cop thing, where they link arms. And then we see the little girl come through, and the man is just so upset. And she goes over to the cop and puts her arm around him. And he says, he was my friend. He was my friend. Y'all, it was so sad. I can't. So, y'all, if they didn't have us crying during that last scene, they definitely had us crying through this next scene when Athena goes to tell this lady about what happened to this man, Alex. And as soon as she says, he was hiking and he must have fell and nobody found him, but we found his remains. And she says, see, I was so mad at everybody for thinking that he would leave me. Not because of me, not because of how I would feel, but more so because they didn't have faith in him, that he wouldn't be like that he had finally changed. Y'all, she was crying so hard and she had to pull it together. It seems as if she might have been pregnant because her son didn't look no older than 6 or 7 years old. So, Athena says, I, thought you might like to have this. And it was the wedding ring that they found on his body. And when she saw that he was still wearing it, y'all, that lady broke down and she thanked Athena and she hugged her. She was like, thank you. But then she, you could tell she was going to have to pull it the fuck together to be there for her son so that they can go trick-or-treating. But that definitely somebody was going to be crying themselves to sleep tonight. Like, damn, y'all, that shit was so sad. So Eddie goes to the school to meet with his wife after she's done doing her little walkthrough and interview at the school. And he walks up to her and he asks her. She kind of seemed like she didn't want to be bothered because she didn't know what he was going to be on. So he pulls her to the side and he asks, he's like, I have to know, why did you never come back? And she says, I don't know. kind of because the longer that I was gone, the harder it was to come back. And she kept thinking about the fact that she felt like it was her fault. She feels like everything that happened with her son, and she replays her pregnancy in her head all the time. And she feels like it's her fault that he's disabled. So running away meant that she didn't really have to see that on a daily basis. And when she was still there, she started to do all this research, but ultimately it just stressed her out and made it even worse for her. So she needed to get away, but then she felt guilty about needing to get away, and it seemed easier to just stay gone. But Eddie tells her that he missed her and that he loves her, and she says that she missed him and she loved him. So they stand up on the side of the car like two high school kids and make out. And I guess Eddie and his wife are back together. It's going to be a trial and a tribulation and an uphill battle, but Jesus, they'll get there. I hope so. So Buck and Coco have a conversation about Abby. And Coco is like, look, baby, you need to do whatever you have to do. But Abby loves you. Abby cares about you, but she is still going through a hard time. She's trying to find herself. And the last thing she needs to do is coming back to this apartment with all of these memories. So she's probably going to move in with her brother for a little while to try to get acclimated again to being back in the States and being, you know, back in a regular lifestyle. She was traveling, she was doing a lot, and now she needs to settle down. And this is when Buck realizes that he thought she was a ghost, but he's really been a ghost sitting in this apartment waiting for her to come back, and that it's time for him to let her ass go. So he writes her a letter, and this whole episode he was narrating, and I think that was his letter to her. So he wrote his little letter, he packed his little bag, turned off the lights like it was the last episode of Martin, and pieced it out, you know. No more Abby. I'm glad. Get over her. She been gone. Bye, Abby. And the last thing is when we see Henrietta talk to her dad before they take him off the life support. And she explains that she never hated him because in her mind, she had created a diary that she wrote to him. She wrote letters, but she was actually writing to him, and it kind of became a journal. It became a diary. It helped her deal with things. So in her mind, it was him helping her deal with things. It almost seems like the ghost of him was better than the reality that he might have been for her. You know, so it was better for it to be the way that it was. But she had her goodbye to him, and then they take him off the life support. It was sad, y'all. This whole episode was sad. How y'all gonna give us a haunted episode? That's so sad. Oh, y'all, I enjoyed it, though. I enjoyed the episode. Y'all, something is going on with my sinuses, and it's driving me insane right now. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoy the review. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And hopefully, I will see y'all in the next one, which will be This Is Us.